Welcome back to Mindful Conversations, our video series talking to a number of businesses in the community that are working with people to help grow and develop. I'm very excited to have Catherine Melville here with Cultivating Conversations for our Mindful Conversations video series. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me here today, Nikki. It's a pleasure to be here.
I heard this is your second time in studio. And you have been in with Jason talking about Cultivating Conversations. It's your first year in business.
It is. Yeah, we're just coming up on year one in September.
It's a very important milestone, and I look forward to you celebrating it. So, Catherine, Cultivating Conversations is the name of your personal and professional coaching business. And tell me who you can help or who you like to work with.
Yeah, so I find that I have quite a varied kind of arrangement of different clients. So working with professionals who are already pre-established within larger organizations or smaller organizations, self-employed individuals, so people either that are smaller to mid-sized companies that are looking to grow, or in addition to individuals who are just starting out. So I have had the opportunity to start and run a number of businesses within the Okanagan and in Canada. And the benefit of that is it's given me a widespread lens, and did my degree at UBC Okanagan here in business and finance. And so I find that I really connect with those individuals that are looking to grow, unsure of the next steps or direction, but also on the personal lens. A few people have approached me looking at personal change or looking at personal growth and the benefit with being a ICF certified professional coach through Erickson International and having my designation as an ACC and on the way to PCC coaching. It allows for me to have the tools to work with anyone. So as long as somebody comes with an open mind, willingness to change, and is looking for a safe space to have those conversations, I'm always open to having them.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because for an average, for the average folk, I think ICF, ACC, and PCC is like way over. So I'm guessing there is maybe others that practice in this space that maybe aren't as certified or as trained. Is there barriers to entry in the coaching?
Exactly. So anybody can call themselves a coach in terms of life coaching, personal coaching. But the international body for coaching worldwide is known as the International Coaching Federation. And I am a member of them. So when you're looking for a coach, it's important to ensure accreditation. Reason for that is there's continued education standards, code of ethics, privacy requirements, insurance, all of those pieces to really protect.
Sound good.
All good things, right? And when going through a training program, there's a variety of different models of coaching that you can do, and the ICF ensures that each of those programs meets those requirements. So depending on what school of thought you go with for your training, if it has an ICF designation with it, you complete your coaching education directly with that school. And that can take anywhere from 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to do. Okay. And then you must also go through with the ICF to complete a number of hours. So in order to meet the requirements,
like practicums?
Practicum, okay. So you have to do a minimum of 100 hours of coaching to reach your ACC, and numerous hours of in-class training too. So in terms of where I am, I've completed my accredited certified coach. So in terms of where I am, which is the 100 hours and a board certified 3-hour exam, which is served internationally. So you should get the same standards from coaches worldwide who are designated.
Okay.
And the next level is at the PCC level, which comes to the professional certified coach. And with that designation, you must have completed a minimum of 400 hours. So significant more hours. And I'm 300 into the 4. So I'm getting close to finalizing.
You're knocking on the door of your PCC.
Exactly. With additional training too, right? So you have to go through an additional advanced training, which I've already completed. And now it's just the hours to get there.
So let's talk about that. I think, and again, I'm a sample size of 1. So I think those that have goals, I'll make a broad stroke brush statement. I think those that have goals have a better chance of achieving or making some ground. But I also think and believe very strongly that it is super valuable to have guidance, a Yoda, if you will. So you have and are on your way to like a gold standard of certification in the professional coaching space. Is who can or maybe even should consider coaching? Are you like, can you be a business of 1? Or how large before you knock on the door of coaching?
Yeah, I think it's never too early to knock on the door. And I really wish I had earlier. I think that I'm a big supporter of Mel Robbins. I've always been a listener. And she kept saying, I'm a coach, but I'm not a professionally certified coach. And I was like, why does she keep saying that? So I ended up doing a ton of research and found a program that aligned. And something I've realized through coaching that it's for anyone looking to generate change. So if you're unsatisfied in an area of your life, whether it's limiting beliefs, like there's certain elements about yourself you're not happy about, career changes, looking to enter into a different space, relationships, whether it's friendships with your children, with your spouse, or looking for a spouse, there's the opportunity to look at, okay, what's holding me back? And I think that having that conversation in a space where you have the opportunity to grow, it's safe, it's confidential, and you're in a space that's much different than counseling or therapy or mentorship, is that in a coaching relationship, it's a space that's guided by powerful questioning, but I'm not providing the solutions. So it's a space for you to come with your own thoughts, deepen your relationship with self, and walk away with actionable steps for you that you've created. So it's a very self-creationist experience with a guide, if you'd say, in terms of it. And I really appreciate that on the basis that there's a time and the place for everything, right? Counseling's amazing, therapy's amazing, mentorship is great. I do all of them. And so, but in the coaching space, I'm really questioning myself in terms of what do I need to change? How can I change it? And what's going to allow me to get there? And through powerful questioning, we're creating that experience that you walk away not only feeling empowered, but with steps to get there that you've created, right? So a lot more self-accountability, a lot more opportunity for change, and expanding your way of thinking. So instead of saying, well, I don't know the answer, you're being brought into a space to find that answer within.
I think that's fascinating. So I want to reiterate back to you what I think you're telling me. So if I came in to use you for professional coaching services, I'm not coming in under the pretense or the expectation that you're going to download to me what I need to do. You're going to maybe sit and ask me some questions, learn my story. We all have a story, learn my story. And then based on your training, it's going to allow you to formulate some questions to me that will likely have me go, and then begin that journey of discovery.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and it's just it's empowering to see that change in people that show up and go, I don't think I can do that, right? And months down the line of working with individuals, they're like, oh, you're making my brain work really hard today. But they walk away and they put those steps into action, right? So when your brain's working and the left and right brain hemispheres are having to work together, looking at kind of the bigger vision alongside kind of the theoretical, how am I going to get there? When you can intertwine those fields of thought together, the likelihood of you succeeding and putting that into practice is so much greater, right?
And Catherine, I can tell you in working with hundreds and hundreds of businesses every year, I get to sit and meet with businesses. I will often find myself saying, very difficult to see the forest for the trees. So when you're in the trenches of, and I guess this can be professional, personal, when you're in the trenches, you are blind to things because they are, I think, just your normal, your everyday, your routine, and you don't have that lift your head up and go, oh, that's odd. So I think having someone spot something, ask you a question about it, you kind of look at it and you go, oh, what am I doing that? And then
yeah, and one of the biggest factors within like the Erickson method of coaching and ICF standards is to get the coachee when they arrive into a resourceful state, right?
Say that again?
So you have to get the individual coming. So say you were stepping into the room, we were having a session and you showed up and you're like, I don't know anything. I don't have any answers. I'm just frustrated. Well, we got to take a minute to kind of unpack that and then step away from it and get you into a space where you're being resourceful, because change is never going to happen and you're not going to be able to expand your thinking, vision, view things from a different perspective, step into a different lens if you're not feeling resourced, right? So that's a big thing where sometimes I'll hit the pause button. Someone will show up, they're having a hard day. I'll say, look, listen, I'm here to listen, but let's reschedule the coaching session because you're not resourced today, right? Like, let's sleep on it, come back tomorrow. Let's come back to the conversation so that they're getting the best result out of it. But that all of us, when we're feeling well-resourced, have the ability to expand our thinking.
That's so intuitive, and again, I have to assume that that's part of your training, and I'm going to bring it down to my granddaughter. If she's angry or feeling frustrated, so honoring the emotions of the child, there's no way I'm going to get her to the table to eat her potatoes if we don't get her into a space that she can hear.
Exactly. And we all expect ourselves to make change and to grow and to just do things because we have to. Like, oh, I can't believe I went home last night again and I just put Netflix on and I didn't go to the gym. Like, what's wrong with me? Well, you're coming home depleted, you're tired, you're not taking breaks at work, right? How can you be resourced to make change if you're coming from an unresourced place, right? So I think really getting people to a sense of resourcefulness then allows for them to take it out of the session and take it into their workplace, their home life, their personal life, and go, I now do it with my husband. I'm like, I'm tired and exhausted. I'm not resourced. We're not having this conversation today, right? Because like, I'm not going to come forward with solutions. I'm going to come forward in a battle mode, right? So I think being able to, you become a lot more self-aware and you're wanting to make the changes to be in that state of transformation more too.
So this is really important work that gives people the tools that they need. And I think what I'm hearing, and again, please correct me, this is not my lane, but I think the voices that we tell ourselves and the things that we tell ourselves, we can be really mean to ourselves. So if we're, I went home and watched Netflix and I should have worked out. I'm so lazy. I'm so horrible. I think giving us tools to either give grace or allow us to reset a statement or something to help us maybe get to the gym versus Netflix.
Exactly. And there's a lot of tools, right? Like within our toolkit and coaching in both the first program I did, the solution focused and the advanced, in relation to addressing gremlins. That's what we call them. Like those voices in your head, right? And I wrote a blog on it in terms of like the different types of gremlins and how to address them, right? And looking at mantras, like setting yourself up a mantra, like when those thoughts come up, reminding yourself of those words, having them a sticky note on your mirror, or having a visualization of where you want to be whenever those thoughts come up. And it makes it makes a big difference, right? Like our minds are powerful.
Actually see the wrestling ring match of the gremlins versus the mantras.
Yeah.
And we do want to take down the gremlins.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons that I felt this conversation could be helpful within the mindfulness category is it applies to all of us, right? Like whether you're owning a business or you're in retirement or you're a stay-at-home mom working with your kids, those gremlins still come up. We still compare ourselves. We still have those voices, right? Mm-hmm. And if we can retrain our thoughts through different areas like neuro-linguistic programming and being able to overcome some of those obstacles really empowers us to be in charge of our thinking, right?
I think that's a great opportunity when you're asking questions. Tonight when I go to bed, I'm often thinking of my day. So I'm going to ask myself, am I in charge of my thoughts?
And you know what, track it, write it down, or just try to like make a mental note of it and see on like certain days, okay, what maybe pulled me away from it? Why did I not feel in charge today? Okay, how can I become more empowered in that space, right? And one of the elements is kind of addressing what might be making you not feel empowered, right? And so I think each of us, like I know myself, before I got into coaching, I very much came to things from like an ego mindset, right? Like who has the highest sales, who has the biggest this, all these pieces that are in our minds, right? And now I'm like, how am I actually feeling inside, right? When I go into every meeting, what can I ask that's going to deepen my connection with the individual, but also make me feel really empowered and caring and compassionate in my work, right? And it changes the way you interact with people when you start to become more self-aware.
I believe it certainly does. So, Catherine, you're about to celebrate your 1 year. It would appear that you're doing exactly what you were meant to do, or you're following your passion. You're loving what you're doing. Is there a question that you can ask to the audience or the viewership that gives them that pause, that gets them to a, yes, I think I want to pursue a personal or a professional coach?
Yeah, I think one of the questions would be to look. One of the things I like to work with clients, and I offer like introductory complimentary sessions. So the first session is always complimentary. The majority of coaches do that within the ICF model. There's sometimes it's a small fee, but you can go and just kind of get the experience of what is it like? I just want to try it on, right? Kind of get a sense of what it's like. And I think one of the factors that kind of is the opening question that I ask everybody is like, what drew you to coaching, right? Is it personal development, professional development, life challenges?
Stuck.
You're feeling stuck, right? A lot of people come to me when they've lost that motivation or that driver, right? Like they're like, I don't know what to do next. Like I'm just kind of coasting, right? And so it can help you to kind of align. And I think one of the elements that I'd ask yourself is like, what do you want to move towards, right? And if you're not sure of what you want to move towards, or you're sure of it, but you don't know how to get there, it's worthwhile exploring your options and having a look at what's available in the community, what coaches are accessible, and if you're interested in speaking to coaches or you want to get a feel for different methods, reach out. I'm happy to connect you with people within the network, make sure that they're a good fit, and have that open conversation just to see, right?
And again, this isn't a discipline that is covered through regular benefits. This lands in the personal financial spreadsheet of investing in personal development and growth.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful that you brought that up, Nikki, because one of the factors people look at with coaching is it's like, oh, it's expensive, right? One of the pieces is it's an investment in yourself for the future. And I felt that way before too. I was like, oh, I can't afford that. But the return that you get outweighs the cost. And with coaching, usually you'll coach for a period of time, whether it's 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on your goal and outcome, that you're investing for that period of time, but the results from it are going to be infinite, right? So I think it's weighing it in on the basis of, okay, I've got my business plan and I have this much to spend on personal development. Okay, I need, once you speak to a coach, let's say 6 months of coaching. Well, you could spread that cost out over 5 years in terms of it and what that return is, right? Because you should be able to get that fuel and motivation to push forward from that time. And I've found that with all of my coachees, so the people that I coach with, all of them have seen growth. So their businesses have grown, their revenues have increased. Personally, they've secured the job they were looking for, or they've met that fitness goal. That it's one of those pieces that they've all, once they're in it, they've realized, wow, this is worth it, right? But yes, it's not a covered benefit. Some employers will allow for you to invest in coaching. So if you work with an organization, having the conversation, ICF accreditation is important for organizations to make sure that it meets the standards. But if you're in a position in your work and you're looking to grow, but you think your employer might be interested in helping you with it, it's something that you can bring forward, like the ICF credentials, to them. And a lot of the time they'll at least help you with it or contribute in some manner too.
And I find that interesting because I think it would be very much likened to a course. I'm going to go take an AI course and how to be better in utilizing artificial intelligence. And so I'm taking a course, I'm taking a professional development program that will help me possibly learn things that are going to, as you said, and I would even argue, them returning in 5 years. I know personal coaching that I did in 2010, I can tell you it is still practiced in 2024, and there's probably 3 or 4 of them that I just pull out on a regular basis because they're part of my they're a quiver. They're part of my
toolkit. They're in there, right? And that's the big factor of it too, right? It's like once you have it in there and it's ingrained, and because it's creating new neural pathways in your mind, the way that the work goes, it's not going away, right?
No.
And it also, from an employer's perspective, adds value, right? That if you're investing in your team to reach their goals or to grow past, say they're up for a management opportunity, but public speaking isn't for them, or they get overwhelmed in a group setting, like having those things where they can come and face those gremlins, face those concerns and overcome them, right?
Yep.
Makes that employee feel empowered, but also allows for them to feel acknowledged by the company and their needs met, that they're not going to leave, right? They may in like long term, but in the short term, they're going to go, wow, this organization's investing in me to invest in myself, and it's going to benefit everybody, right?
And I would argue that that's a legacy that most corporations want to partake in. We want to develop and mentor and grow people. We hope they'll stay with us. Many don't, but you celebrate in their success as they go on and achieve things in their life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Catherine, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Very much enjoyed it. If we can close by maybe talking about you're taking on new clients, you want to continue to celebrate year 2, 3, 4, 5 in business in the community. So anyone that sees this live stream can reach out to you at
cultivatingconversations.ca. And when you go to the website, you can actually schedule a free consultation if you're interested. I book them for 50 minutes to an hour, and in it we just kind of dive into more detail of answering any questions about coaching, going through an exercise so you can kind of get a sense of what my methods are like. And if at the end it's something of interest, we can discuss options. And if at the end it's not, it's no hard feelings. And in addition, it's just opening up the conversation, right? I'm also, a lot of the time, someone may not be the right fit for me, but I'll know someone who is, right?
Perfect.
So then we can expand it there as well. So always happy to have a conversation or answer any questions.
Catherine Melville of Cultivating Conversations. Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.